Bioshock was an incredible game upon release back in 2007, and it was my first experience as to what HD visuals can bring on modern consoles. I'll never forget that opening sequence, swimming up to catch a breath of air only to see my surroundings engulfed in flames while I tried to swim to the lighthouse. The visual style of Bioshock, in addition to its incredible storytelling, will always make it one of my favorite games of all time, and although Bioshock 2 wasn't received as well, it was still a fairly good title in my books. Bioshock Infinite, the third title in the franchise, had some divisive opinions, but as a whole, I thoroughly enjoyed the series. In 2016, we saw the entire collection being remastered for the current generation of consoles, and now Virtuous Games has taken all three games and brought it over to the Nintendo Switch. With a console that has its limits, does this collection hold up? Would you kindly join me as I discuss the Bioshock collection on the Nintendo Switch? Considering this is 3 games in one, I'll briefly discuss each game separately and then dive into the performance on the Nintendo Switch. As a whole, Bioshock collection not only includes the 3 games, but their DLC as well. The original Bioshock felt a bit ahead of its time. It was a first-person experience like no other and had a mix of vintage weapons combined with plasmids. Think of it as superpowers in a sense, which saw you face against a twisted group of enemies called the Splicers. This all took place in Rapture, a city under the ocean, abandoned and overthrown by corruption and power. Using your powers in combination with the environments, you could shoot electricity into puddles of water, electrocuting enemies, or set oil on fire, thus burning the Splicers to a crisp. It was mostly a linear experience, but it was told in a way which made you interested in the world and characters, not to mention the Big Daddies, which, if you see them, it is often better to run instead of staying and fighting. Bioshock 2 kinda changed some of the formula while improving on others. Instead of just fighting Big Daddies, you are a Big Daddy. It dove even deeper into Rapture with new and reworked areas, furthering enhancing what the city has to offer. It also offered somewhat limited choices in the game, which resulted in multiple endings. It focused more on action, which took away some of the story, but it was still a good game in the series. Bioshock Infinite took on a more supernatural approach, and instead of diving deep underwater, it took players high up in the sky into a city above the clouds, Columbia. Plasmids did make a return, although with a different name, and the environment was drastically different from prior games. It was bright and full of life, that is until everything goes sideways. It also gave you an NPC, Elizabeth, who always assisted you whenever you were in trouble. The story focused heavily on your character, Booker, and his connection with Elizabeth, which had a somewhat unexpected conclusion, while its DLC brought back aspects of Rapture. Luckily though, the Switch port saw many enhancements of the remastered collection, but it certainly looks better in handheld mode than what it does in docked mode. The draw distances are somewhat blurrier with jaggy edges to objects, and there is a noticeable scale down on the visuals. However, if this is your first step into the series, then it isn't something you'll easily notice. Some of the darker colors appear very dark on the console, and I had to adjust my brightness significantly, and playing with the Joy-Cons does take some time to adjust. Running at a near constant 30 frames per second is nice, and it seems that Virtuous Games made the best they can do with the port. Loading times are surprisingly quick, that despite it being a sizable game. With some of the visuals being held back, Bioshock Collection on the Nintendo Switch is a superb port of one of the best collections seen on consoles, and if this is your first step into the world of Rapture and Columbia, then it'll surely be an unforgettable experience. If you've played Bioshock before and wanted to experience this franchise again, you may be left somewhat disappointed with the visual trimmings, but it is rare for a port to look this good, especially on the Nintendo Switch. If I had to put a score on this, then I'd easily give it an 8 out of 10. I'd like to thank Prima Interactive and 2K for providing me with the review key, and for more gaming content, check out the rest of my channel. If you enjoyed this video, then give me a thumbs up. If you dislike it, then give me a thumbs down, but please tell me why so I can improve my videos. My name is Frank, I'm the RedTieGuy, and frankly, thank you for watching. Catch you guys in the next video.